Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the Say What podcast. My name is Hannah, and on this podcast, we talk about things that people don't want to say out loud, but I will say them for you. It's a lot about sex. It's a lot about purity culture. It's a lot about just girly things. It's about mom things. Just, you really never know what we're going to talk about here on this podcast, but it's a really good time. So thank you so much for listening today. If you could, I hate to ask something of you at the beginning of the episode. However, my husband, who is the other part of Say What, basically does all the behind the scenes things for me, is telling me I needed to ask people to like and subscribe on YouTube. So I'm going to do that. I also updated my name on YouTube. Someone recommended I do that so I can actually show up when you search me. So if you search Say What Podcast with Hannah, I will show up, hopefully. But I also will link it in the episode notes. But if you could just even if you don't watch on YouTube, it is really helpful to get the like and subscribes. And speaking of YouTube, you guys, I have some really terrible news to tell you about what happened to me on YouTube. So I've been really trying to get my YouTube going. You guys know, I've said this a million times, I want this to be my full-time job. And so I'm working really hard to make all the content and make it happen and make it work. And I put out an episode 2 weeks ago called Spice Things Up and Try New Things. And in the image of the thumbnail is a picture of me holding vibrators. And I don't check my analytics often because I don't know, it just stresses me out. It's not my thing. I really just look at the view number and the subscriber number. I didn't really know that you could look at so many other details on the analytics, but my husband loves to look at that stuff. So he was checking the analytics on that video, and I knew that it had at this point, it had, I think it was 622 views. And I was oh my gosh, the Lord is working. He is using my videos. It's getting to the people who need to see it. That's always my prayer. Anytime I put out an episode, a video, whatever, is that the Lord is going to use it to reach the people that need to reach. And I was so excited to see that it had that many views. That was really exciting for my page. And so I am so excited about it. And then Thomas, we're sitting on the couch, and Thomas just starts laughing. And I was what? And he was I'm looking at the analytics on your last video, and the percent of the gender, it is 100% male viewers, and the ages are 45 and above, and 59% of the viewers are 65 and older. And I just started crying. I know that he, don't hate on him for laughing. I think he was just shocked, and so that's why he was laughing. But I literally started to cry. I felt so just gross. I'm not a man hater. That's not who I am. But a 65-year-old man watching my video about spicing things up and using vibrators is just you're not my intended audience. This is for the girlies. This is for, I'm fine if guys watch my videos, whatever, but to help with their wives. But I'm not trying to be in that category. I'm not trying to reach a 65-year-old men. That's just not who I am. And so I felt so just gross. Obviously, nobody touched me. Nobody did anything to me. I'm not saying that. I just felt so gross. I just felt so what did they do after they watched my video? And you can see how long somebody watched my video. Thankfully, they didn't watch it very long. And what happened was I ended up behind some other videos, because you know how YouTube will say here's your suggested video for coming up next. So I had gotten behind some videos that I just don't want to be associated with. I really, really, really don't want to be associated with these videos that I'm associated with. It was a lot of porn stuff. It was a lot of just things that, I just feel gross. I'm a Christian, and I have values and morals that go along with my Christianity and just for myself. And I'm just not trying to be on that side. And I knew that when I started this, realized what I was doing with my podcast, and realized what my calling was, there's just not a lot of people in my space that talk about sex in a positive, healthy way that is, that are, I guess, sex positive, but that are Christian, that I'm not just everybody should go out and have sex all the time with whoever you want. There's reasons for sex, and it's biblical. And I just am getting associated with videos that I just really don't want to be associated with. So that was really tough to see. I felt really gross. So all that being said, if you are a girly listening to my video, it would be so helpful if you would go and, if you're listening to podcasts, go and watch just a couple seconds on YouTube and just help the audience be female and not male. And I really am just praying that the Lord used that video and the men who watched it, hopefully they realized what they were watching and got off, or like the Lord touched them and they saw Jesus in that video. Like that is all I can hope for, and not let my mind go anywhere else. So that's the new stuff with YouTube. So I'm just not feeling great, not feeling great. I did record a YouTube video that I will probably upload. It'll already be out by the time this episode comes out, just like talking about my story with painful sex, because YouTube, I want people who are searching for that stuff to find it. I remember when I was experiencing painful sex, I just searched the internet for other people who had my story and just struggled so much to find anybody who was going through what I was going through. And I felt so alone. And all of the Facebook groups I had joined were super negative, and people weren't just like trying to get healed. They were just like, which obviously, this is a really hard thing that people go through, and there is room for sadness and room for grief, like so much room for sadness, so much room for grief. But I really needed hope that this wasn't going to be my story forever, and this wasn't just what my life was going to be like. And so I couldn't find that on the internet. So I'm trying to be that, I am being that for those people who are going through something. I want them to know they're not alone. So I'm sharing that on YouTube so people can search and find it. Anyways, enough about YouTube. I have something else exciting I want to share with you, and that is I've launched a newsletter. So I know you're like, a newsletter, so many people have newsletters, so many people have emails, like that's so annoying. Like, why are you being like everybody else? And also, didn't you have a newsletter before and you don't have it now? Here's the thing. I did have a newsletter before, but I started that newsletter simply out of fear because one day Instagram went down for like 8 or 9 hours. And I was like, well, if I lose Instagram, I lose everything. And so I need to start this email list. That way, like I still have my people. And I just like freaked out. This is not that. I'm not starting this newsletter out of fear. I just feel like I want a place where I can write without having to give disclaimers, and I feel like if you're on my, newsletter list, that you're like really with me in this community, like me and you are together, like we're friends, we can talk. I don't have to give a million disclaimers about things. And so that's what this newsletter is. The Lord put something on my heart a couple weeks ago, and I'm not going to do like annoying, like you'll see it when you see it and like do all that. Like that's not what this is. So part of what he put on my heart was this newsletter. And so I'm doing it and I'm really excited about it. I honestly will share too, I was inspired by the Giggly Squad. They have a newsletter, and I look forward to reading it every week. And I listen to their podcast and I still look forward to reading it every week. And they just share some fun things in it. And so I was inspired by them as well. So I'm really excited about this newsletter. You can sign up in the episode notes. I'm going to share like I said, my thoughts without disclaimers, which is going to be fun. I'm going to share my things that I'm loving. So any products that I've ordered, or just like things that are helping in my life. It's not always going to be a product. I'm going to share weekly sex position. I'm going to just encourage you guys. Like, I'm really just excited to have this extra place to write more and just to have like a closer relationship with you. And if there is anything like happening within our community or anything fun that I'm going to like launch or do, the newsletter readers will be the first people to know about that. So, but I'm not doing anything. But if I do, that's what will happen. So very excited about that. So you can sign up in the link in the episode notes. And again, that is the place for thoughts without disclaimers. That's what I really should title this newsletter, is a place for thoughts without disclaimers. Anyways, it's going to be fun. So that is all of my like update things. I will say I am back on my period. And let me tell you, I told Thomas yesterday, I am not used to mood swings because I didn't have mood swings for the 16 months that I didn't have a period. I was just in a constant mood. I was just in like one mood all the time, and it wasn't good. And you guys know I had to go on Zoloft because of it. But now it's just like up and down, up and down. And I mean, that is also how I was before with, I was like up and down, but it was really intense. And that's why I had to go on Zoloft. It's not like that anymore. I know it's my period. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at my app and I'm like, it's about time. Period's about to start. And it's been brutal. The mood swings are just, and I feel gross. Isn't it such a girl thing about to be on your period or on your period, and you're like, I hate my hair, I hate my nose, I've never looked uglier, I feel disgusting, I never want to eat again. That was really toxic. That's not what I mean. I just like, no matter what I never have a problem. I don't have a problem like that with food. I just, it's just like, I feel so gross. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to just lay in my bed and not do a single thing. And I hate that. I hate that. But isn't that just a girly thing, just part of being a woman? And so today I was like, you know what? Before this podcast, I'm going to take a shower. I am going to do an everything shower, and I'm going to feel so much better. I'm going to do my hair. I got a new thermal brush. I'm really excited about it. I'm still learning it, trying to figure out what the best way to do my hair with this brush is, but I'm so excited about it. But I also do want to cut my hair. I have to. Like, I can't have this hair anymore. It's got to go. It's got to go. My husband loves long hair, and I love him and like want him to, see my long hair. However, it's got to go. I'm not going to do a bob or anything like that, but I don't know. I'm going to cut some off because I'm tired of it. I just have like this vision in my mind of me with like kind of short hair, but it might be terrible and I might hate it. So who can say? I'm feeling very chatty today. I need to rein it in. Today's episode is going to be advice for new moms. So I have been a mom now for 18 months next week. I guess when this episode comes out, Tate will have turned 18 months. Tate is our Christmas baby. So he's born on Christmas Day. And if any of you say that's a bad thing, blocked. Okay, that's really intense. I probably won't block you. However, people love to tell me how sad it is that Tate was born on Christmas. And I don't want anything to do with my child's birthday to be sad. Like, no, we are celebrating. We are having the greatest time. It is a fun thing. How incredible is it that he was born on Christmas Day, a day that we make about Jesus, that we're also now going to make about him? How incredible is it that most people come together to celebrate that day anyway? So how perfect is it now that we get to celebrate Christmas and his birthday with families? Like, that's so special. And if you're like, well, Hannah, I also have a Christmas birthday and I hated it. Well, I am making it my life's mission for my child to not hate his birthday. So don't say anything negative to me about it. When I broke my leg and was being wheeled into the hospital, I was talking to the EMT guy, and he was like talking about my son, because obviously I was holding him when I fell, and we were talking about it, and he was asking how old he was. I was like, oh, he's like 10 months old. He's our Christmas baby. And he just went on and on and on about how terrible that was. I am laying there with my leg broken in multiple pieces. My ankle is broken. I am in the most pain I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm like, you're choosing this moment to tell me that my son should not have been born on Christmas Day and how much that sucks for him. And I'm literally saying back to him, I'm like, no, like, we're going to make it fun. Like, we in our family, we are so serious about not saying anything negative about that. Like, that is something that's very important to us, is to make his birthday special and not to say anything bad about it. And not for him to never feel like he's getting, shafted because his birthday's on Christmas. And I kept telling this EMT that, and he was just like, no, like, he's never going to feel special. Like, you have to celebrate it at a different time, whatever. I was like, this is not the time to fight with me about this, sir. Anyways, how bizarre is it that I broke my leg? We don't talk about that enough. I just don't talk about that enough. I thought it was going to become my whole personality, and it is. In my mind, my Roman Empire is my broken leg. That is my Roman Empire. It is my broken leg, because it's just like really insane that my dog broke my leg, and I have so many screws in my leg. Speaking of broken leg, real quick, before we get to the new mom thing, is I've been fighting with this doctor's office who told me the cost of something to my face was going to be $50, and I got a bill for $411. $411. I have been fighting tooth and nail with them over this bill. And so let us pray so much that by the time this episode comes out, that will have gotten resolved. We only have a week, but let's just hope and pray, because I've been fighting with them since January about this. And because of my insurance, I can't go to any other doctors. For some reason, I guess we chose the insurance that works with this specific like group of doctors, and so we can't go anywhere else. And in this like group of doctors, they only have 3 trauma orthopedic surgeons, and they all work at the same office. So I can't go anywhere else, which is so frustrating. So I'm this girl who's like fought with all these people, and then I'm gonna have to walk in a couple weeks to get my freaking x-ray. Anyways, I need to stop ranting. This is my podcast. Why am I apologizing? I'm not going to apologize. I can talk about what I want. Period. Hannah is just a whole new like person. I've got to rein it in. Hopefully you guys are laughing with me and having a good time. Let's go back to motherhood. So I've been a mother for almost 18 months, and It has been the greatest 18 months of my life. I'm somebody who has always wanted to be a mom. So that's the perspective that you're getting from this. I've always wanted to be a mom. When I was a little girl, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I got older, it was I want to work in ministry and I want to be a mom. The ministry came later, but it was always like, I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom. I'm an oldest child. I have 2 siblings and I have a brother and a sister, and my brother's 5 years younger than me and my sister's 7 years younger than me. And I've always not felt like a second mom to my sister, because like I would never take my mom's place by any means, but I just have, there's a big age gap between us. And so I've always felt a little bit like her mom in a certain way. And I've just like always just wanted to be a mom. And so I was so happy to be a mom. But before I was a mom, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And motherhood is really, 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 really and truly not one of those things that when you go into it, you really don't know what to expect until you've done it. I mean, I nannied and babysat all my life, and having my own child is still something so different than what it was just like nannying and babysitting. Because like if you're babysitting or nannying, like you're doing what the parent says. Like they tell you how to discipline, they tell you what your kid wants to eat, they tell you like what they like to do. And as the parent, like you're the one making those decisions now. You're the one choosing parenting. And I would say when I was about to have my baby, I was really excited for the newborn stage because I was like, I'm going to love it. And now that I'm 18 months into it, I like the 18-month stage significantly more than the newborn stage. And I think that's okay to admit. Tate was a perfect angel and always is a perfect angel. You'll never, ever hear me saying anything negative about him ever. I can't believe some people do that on the internet. That's insane. That you would like put some things on the internet that are negative about your child or film your child having a tantrum or anything like that. Like that's truly bizarre. Your child is a human and deserves a right to privacy. Anyways, I will never say anything bad about him. I just think it's so fun now that he's a person with ideas and thoughts who will tell me to get off the couch if he doesn't want me on the couch. Like I just think it's so sweet and cute and perfect. And one of the fun things he's doing right now, I'll just share this, is so if he wants to see his dada, which he's very much in dada era right now, he'll yell for dada. And a lot of times he does this when Thomas isn't home to respond to him, but he'll go, dada, 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 babe, 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 because we yell at each other in the house and say babe, and now he's saying babe. And it's just the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So anyways, I think this stage is really fun, but I wanted to record an episode today just giving my in general thoughts about motherhood so far. Listen, I am not the expert. I am no way claim to be a parenting expert. So many times I'm Googling like, how do you do this? Like, I don't know how my mom or my friends' moms were parents without Google. I have truly no idea how they did it without Google. I know they had books and stuff, but I have no idea. So I am very like just reliant sometimes on the internet, but I'm also learned so much about trusting my intuition since being a parent. And that's just where I'm going to start today. So I am going in no particular order. I'm going to also share your advice for new moms. But I'm going to, in no particular order, I'm just going to share like just a couple things that I wrote down about just advice for new moms. Or if you've been a mom forever, this could also just bring a different perspective. Again, I'm not pretending like I am the greatest parent on earth. And no means am I do that. I mess up all the time. There's so many times where I'm like, why did I do that? Like that was not the right way to respond. There's so many times I've been like, Tate, I'm sorry that like I did that or said that or whatever. Like I will apologize to him all day long if I do something wrong. Like I'm not afraid to do that. But what I wanted to say was my intuition. So I want to start with that in no particular order, but this is the first one that I do think actually is number one. And then the rest come behind it in no order, is trust your intuition. There are so many things on the internet, on the apps, in the books that's going to tell you that your baby needs to be doing this. Your baby has to do this. Your baby has to sleep by a certain time. Your baby needs to be eating a certain thing. Like there's so many things out there that tell you if your baby's not doing this by 7 months, you need to go to the doctor. TikTok's going to tell you if your baby's flapping your arms, you're autistic. And I'm not saying that autism is bad, but that is what the internet is going to tell you. If your baby's flapping your arms, you're autistic. And so I just want to encourage so many moms out there to trust your intuition. And I say that with also the understanding that when you're a new mom and you're postpartum, it's so hard to discern what is intuition and what is anxiety. And what I have found in my personal life with being able to distinguish the two is when there is intuition, there's a peace that comes with it. When there's anxiety, there's intrusive thoughts. The anxiety is like, well, what if this would happen? And the intuition is, I think that this is best and I have peace about it. And sometimes it's really hard to distinguish between the two. I'm not saying it's always easy, but I just want to encourage you to trust your intuition. You know your baby best. There's going to be so many doctors and people and other moms that are going to say, like, if your baby's not up by their birth weight, then something's wrong and you have to supplement with formula, and formula is not bad. And obviously, if your baby has dropped like so much intense weight and they're not eating, okay, that's a problem. But if your baby is acting happy and acting healthy and eating, they're eating when they're supposed to eat, like that is what matters. Like, you know your baby best. When I had Tate, I felt like this instant just like understanding of him and understanding of his needs. I was like, okay, I know what you need. I know when you want to eat. I never cared about how much breast milk I was making. Like, truly, I was like, I know that when you're hungry, you're going to eat and I'm going to feed you and it's going to be enough. And I was like, and if you're steadily gaining weight here and there, then like, that's all I'm worried about. And I was really grateful that he never dropped any from his birth weight. But I just was like, I know that my body was made for this. I know that the Lord created women's bodies to be able to create a child inside of them and be able to feed that child with their body. And yes, breastfeeding does not work for everybody. Some people's milk doesn't come in. Sometimes a latch doesn't work. And also some women just don't want to breastfeed, and that's okay. But if you are wanting to breastfeed, like, I just want to encourage you to just have the trust in your body that your body is producing enough for them. There's, again, so much noise to moms, and a lot of it can be helpful, but there's just so much noise that you have to be doing this and it needs to be this way. And if you're not doing it this way, then something's wrong with you. That is not true. That is not true. Babies are not robots. Whenever I asked you guys for advice, I mean, it was like every other response was, your baby's not a robot. Your baby's not a robot. Your baby's not a robot. And I was like, that is what we need to scream from the rooftops. Your baby is not a robot. You know your baby best. You know what your baby needs. And that, I want to encourage you to like push out all of the noise and listen to what you feel like is best and what you feel like your baby needs. And get off the internet. Don't read that stuff. Trust yourself. One thing I'm so thankful that I did truly is just trust that my body is making enough milk. I know that is a lot of the source of anxiety for a lot of new moms is are they getting enough? If they are happy, if they are a happy baby, if they look like they're healthy, if they're asking for food and then taking naps and asking for food again, great. Like, you're doing a good job, regardless, you're doing a good job, but you were doing a good job. And I just want to encourage you to trust your intuition. And when there is intuition, there's peace. When there's intuition, there's peace. Intrusive thoughts are really loud, and a lot of times it's like, what if? And it just being able to discern between what's anxiety and what's intuition, especially if something's wrong, like, I feel like you just kind of know in your soul it's not a what if. It's like, okay, something's wrong. I need to go get something checked out, And I never regret like getting something checked out if I feel like there is. And if there's nothing wrong, great. It just gave me a peace of mind, So that is my like biggest overall piece of advice, is to trust your intuition. Now, what goes next with that is get off the internet. Get off the internet. The internet is so great to help you feel less alone. The internet is so great to give you advice if you're looking for it. There's so many times where I've been like, what is the best toy for a 6-month-old? And I'll get on TikTok and I'll see these moms be like, my kids loved this 6-month toy. And I'm like, great, that's good inspiration. However, there has to be a balance, because there's so much fear out there on the internet. There's so much, it's so easy to see someone's story and make it your own story. And I try to be so aware of that with even my own work. Just saying, like, just because I was Christian who had a negative view of sex and I had painful sex does not mean you are going to get married and have painful sex. And we just have to become so, what's the word? Just on top of it when it comes to our like taking in of content, and understanding that just because someone else's story is that doesn't mean it's my story. We have to like go in it with that mindset. So if we're going to be on the internet, we need to be thinking about that, because they will always tell you something is wrong with your baby. On the internet, it's like, here's all the signs that my baby, had a tongue tie. And it's like, okay, that was all the signs for your baby, maybe not the signs for my baby. And truly, people put out this content meaning well. I'm not hating on that. Like, truly, 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 that is very helpful stuff. But a lot of times it can get overwhelming. And I really think it just drives up so much anxiety, truly does. When you're constantly being told all these things about other people's babies, it can really make you just get in your head and think that this is also your baby. And so if you're going to be on the internet, you have to do it with so much caution, so much caution, because there can be so much just like, I don't know, in your mind being told, thinking that something is wrong just because you saw 4 videos about it on TikTok and it's not. Now, sometimes there is something wrong, and that's when you go to the doctor and you talk to them and they can help you figure it out. But I hope you guys can understand what I mean when I say, like, get off the internet. If you're on the internet, just go into it with so much caution, and your baby best, and don't let other people's story become your story. The next one is, you are going to hear all the time from people that you need to soak it in. And I just was told soak it in. I read soak it in, like people saying that you just got to soak all this time in. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. And what I have found in my like 18 months of soak it in is what I feel like it means for me is to just like push away all the distractions and focus on your baby and really enjoy that time with them. But I really just want to take the pressure off if you feel like, because my child did not sleep for 16 months. At the beginning, there was some time where he did sleep through the night for a little bit. And then around month 7, that changed, and we did not sleep from 7 months until 16 months. And we did not sleep. He was up almost every hour. If not every 2 hours from month 7 to month 16. And there was a lot of times during that when I was exhausted and I was constantly stressed, like, am I soaking it in? Am I doing what they say? But I'm so tired that I don't even know what that means. And I look back on that time and I just remember, like, the night when it was so hard with sleep, I just remember like snuggling with my baby and like seeing the things that he does and how incredible that is, and like watching him learn. And I look back at those moments from 0 to 18 months and I just see all of the like beauty of him growing and learning, and the funny things he's done and the faces he's made and the things that he's learned. And like, I think I soaked it in. There was times obviously I didn't, but it's like I did my best to push away the distractions and focus on my child. And I think that's what soak it in really means, because I don't really know what people mean by that. And I think that's what it means. I also heard somebody say one time, I think it was on What We Said podcast, Chelsea was talking about her mom, and her mom always said that like anytime anyone asked her what her favorite stage is, she would say right now. And that really helped her stay in the moment with her baby and not always wish that the hard part would be over or wish that they were a different age or wish they could go back. It really just helped her be present with her baby. And I've really tried to grasp that mindset of like, this is my favorite stage right now. When I'm in the newborn stage, I was like, this is my favorite stage right now. Now that I'm in toddler stage, I'm like, this is my favorite stage. And it has really helped me be present with him. And another thing is, I struggle with this a lot. And partly, I think this is because it's my job. So I'm on my phone a lot. I'm on my computer a lot. And I have to be, because it's my job and my podcast is my job. And this is something I'm constantly working on, is throwing my phone away. But I go out in public and nothing infuriates me more than when I'm in public and I see kids and I see parents and the parents are not playing with their child and they're on their phone. I understand you deserve a break too. Sometimes like when we go to the Museum of Life and Science, we're there constantly. We have a membership. We're there all the time. And nothing infuriates me more than seeing a parent on their phone. And sometimes you go to the museum because your kid can play by themselves and like that's a good break for you. However, you just being on your phone tells that kid that your phone is more important than them. And we are not going to be that generation. We are not going to be that generation. I know that if you're around my age, I'm 28 years old, that our parents grew up with like our dads were at work and our moms were at home with us, or our moms were working and our dads were at work, and that was their generation. And we grew up in the like spanking generation, and we're like, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they spanked, or I can't believe like the dads weren't present because they had to be at work. What people are going to say about our generation is, I can't believe that my mom was on her phone all the time. Like, my mom didn't care about anything other than her phone. That's what our kids are going to say. And I refuse to be that household. I saw an influencer, Kylie Kitsch, I think that's how you say her last name. She said that when it comes to her phone around her kid, like she knows how she feels when she's hanging out with somebody and they're on their phone, and she never wanted her daughter to feel that way. And I was like, yep, that's so true. So we have to get off our phones. When I was at the museum just last week, this little girl just desperately wanted someone to play with, and her dad was just sitting over there on his phone the entire time, and she was just talking to me and just wanting me to play with her. But she's probably 6 or 7, and she just desperately wanted someone to play with her, and her dad was just on his phone the entire time. And I try really hard not to judge, because I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. He could be working, and this is his way of like getting to experience his kid. And so I really try to be understanding with that. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing on their phone. It's probably important, but it's not always important. Like, there's no way that's like always important. You know what I mean? And so I am just trying so hard to create an environment where we're not on our phones. And I think a way to soak up the time with our kid is to not be on our phones, you know? And I am not perfect with this by any means. And I'm trying so hard to be better, truly. Like, I'm trying so hard to throw my phone away and not be on it, because it's the thing that makes me feel so guilty. And I'm talking to myself when I say this, but like, we just got to throw our phones away. We have to throw our phones away. They don't matter. They don't matter. We need to be present with our children. That, I think, is what soak it up means. Let's talk about babies are not robots. So there's like all these apps and things that will have like, you're in this leap, or your baby is going to do this thing, and your baby has to be crawling by 6 months, and they have to be walking by 11 months or by a year, and they have to be jumping by this time. They have to be clapping by this time. Yes, there are milestones that happen 100%, but it's not a race. It's not a race. Your baby is growing at their own pace, and that's okay. Obviously, if they're like missing every milestone, it's a big deal, and your pediatrician brings up something that they're like concerned about, you need to worry about that. But what I'm saying is, like, people expect babies to do everything by like clockwork, and they're just not, because they're just humans as well, and they are learning and growing, and it takes babies different times to do different things. Like, it truly, truly does. Every baby is different, and that's totally okay. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they were worried because their child doesn't really talk much, but then they were telling me like, and Tate and him are just a couple months apart. And Tate is just talk all day long. He's got so many things to say. And, but he was telling me about his kid, and how his kid can like go and like, they live on like this bunch of land, and how his kid can go and like get in their like ATV thing and like turn the thing on and drive around and all this stuff. And I'm like, Tate could not do that. There's no way. And so it's like, okay, maybe Tate is talking, but he's not as advanced in that. Okay, maybe their kid is advanced in that way, but they're not talking yet. It's okay. Like, every kid is going to do what they want, or going to grow at their own pace, and it's not a race, and that's okay. I just want you to hear that and like understand that in your bones, that like your baby will do what they are like needing to do at their own pace. Like, at some point your baby is going to walk. Like, it's going to happen. They're going to learn how to walk, and it's going to be okay. They're going to learn how to crawl. Like, I remember being so concerned with Tate crawling, because he wasn't crawling yet. And at this point, I can't even tell you which month he crawled. Like, I was so worried about him crawling. I just wanted him to crawl so bad. I was like, he's missing this milestone. Every other baby's crawling, and he's not crawling. And that's just so bad. And now I couldn't tell you what month he crawled. Could not tell you. Maybe 10? No, because 10 months is when I broke my leg. And he was crawling before that. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you when he crawled. See, it's so crazy how like concerned we are about things in the moment, and then when it passes, it's like, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The next one is asking for help and accepting help is critical. I also say this with the understanding of, when you're a new mom, there are so many times where you actually don't know what you need. There are so many times where you don't know what you need. So here are some things that you could ask for help with, because you may not know what you should even need. Here are some things that you can ask for help with. You can ask for help with meals. You can ask people to drop you off some meals, prepare you some meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because a lot of people bring by dinner food, but we need lunch food. That could be leftovers or breakfast. Asking for help with that. Asking for help with figuring out groceries. Or because bringing dinners is great, but you also need groceries at your house. Ask somebody to help you figure out a grocery list. Because it's like, how am I even supposed to think about what food I need to have at my house? Okay? Asking for help with groceries. If a friend comes over, ask for them to help unload your dishwasher. Let go of the stress about how your dishwasher needs to be perfectly laid out in the way. No. Ask them to help you unload the dishwasher. If you are comfortable with it and you want to go take a shower and you're okay with somebody holding your baby, ask for somebody to come over and hold your baby so you can go wash your hair and you can dry your hair. That is something you could ask for. Ask for help with groceries. Ask for help with taking your dog outside. Ask for help with meals. Ask a trusted friend to check in on you every couple of weeks, because when you're postpartum and your brain is in a fog, you're not necessarily thinking like, I need to text somebody and tell them how I'm feeling. Ask for someone to just check in and give you that opportunity to share how you're feeling, truly. Those are some things you could ask for help with. Ask for help with cleaning your bathroom. Like, that's great. And accepting help is critical. So if you're asking for the help, accept the help. If people are offering to help you, accept the help. You do not have to do it all. That does not make you any less than. That doesn't make you not tough enough to do it all. Like, you do not have to do it all. You don't. I want you to understand, you do not have to do it all. It is okay to ask for help. That is what villages are for. That's why they say it takes a village to raise a baby, because you can't do it all. It's impossible. Something is going to lack if you're trying to do it all. So ask for help, accept the help. It's not an option. Okay, here's where I'm going to get a little controversial, because we're talking about sleep. And I am not for sleep training. I'm against sleep training. I do not believe sleep training is the best for their baby. There have been studies out there that show that sleep training is not good, that your kids do not know how to self-soothe, and sleep training teaches your child, not that they are going to be self-soothing, that you're not going to come when they cry. And I just do not believe that that is appropriate for a child. I do not believe a child should be left there sobbing to where they can't breathe anymore, or they're choking on their own spit. Like, that is extremely sad. That is extremely, extremely sad. And it breaks my heart. And I understand sleep deprivation is real. Again, I was up every hour from month 7 to 16. And I just want to tell you, you will sleep again. You will sleep again. It will not be this way forever. You will sleep again. I was a shell of a human from month 7 to 16. I had no thoughts, no ideas, nothing original. I was a shell of a human. But my child knew if he cried and needed me, I was going to be there. Because a lot of people say that, like, physically they're fine, so like it's okay, but emotional health is so important. Emotional health is so important. And a lot of people will say, well, I slept trained and you turned out fine. It's like, did we turn out fine? No, we're all in therapy. None of us know how to have healthy relationships. Like, we didn't really turn out fine, And so I know I sound like I have judgment in my tone. I need to chill. I just am really passionate about this. I don't believe babies know how to self-soothe. Like, they are meant to be with their moms. They're meant to be with their caregivers and know that they're loved and trusted. And if something is wrong, like, how would you know that if you're not going to get your child? And I know that there's methods where it's like you check in every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, and everyone says it's so hard for 3 days and then you're fine. I don't want to go through those 3 days. I don't want there to be 3 days where my child is sobbing and wants me to come get them and I'm not going to get them. I don't want that. I don't want that. And there's a difference between your child just like cooing and like you leaving them there while they like figure that out, versus like crying and you not coming when your child needs you. So if you are interested in sleep, and I know some people say like, I have to go to work, I have to like have sleep so I can go and do my job, or I'm a better parent when I have sleep. I understand that. And I really believe that every parent is doing what they feel like is best for their family. I wanted to bring up the sleep training thing, because if you are feeling like everyone's telling you to sleep train and at 4 months or 5 months your baby needs to be sleeping through the night, that is not normal. Babies are going to wake up all the time. They go through different like sleep regressions because their sleep cycles are syncing up, or babies are getting teeth and they're hurting and they just want someone to comfort them at night because their teeth are hurting. You as an adult, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're hungry, like, you're going to go get a snack. Or if you have a person that's sleeping next to you, you'll snuggle up with them because you want comfort. So why do we expect a baby to be in their crib alone crying and they're going to be able to, quote, self-soothe when adults don't even self-soothe? Like, I just don't get it, And so I just don't think we should expect these little innocent babies to be able to do that on their own if they're not ready for it. So I just want parents to understand that, like, you don't have to sleep train, that there's other options out there. You can create like, sleep associations to get your baby like ready for sleep, like a bath time. You read a book and you tell everybody night night and we sing a song and they get them ready for bed and have like associations, and you do different things to help with that. But training your child to sleep, I just don't believe is a healthy option. If you did that and you don't have any regrets, that's great. That works for you. I'm not doing that with my family. And I wanted to bring this up because I feel like there's a lot of people out there constantly pushing sleep training on parents. And if your kid is not sleeping and you feel like the sleep training stuff just doesn't feel right to you, lean into that intuition. Lean into that intuition. You don't have to sleep train. When we went to Tate's 4-month appointment, I didn't even put on there that I wanted to talk about sleep because I didn't. I don't need the doctor's help with sleep. And she's like, was he sleeping through the night? And I was like, no, he's 4 months old. We're breastfeeding. Like, he's not sleeping through the night, and that's okay. And she was like, well, it's time to sleep train. Literally told me that. And I was like, nope, not time to sleep train. It's just not, because I'm not. And I literally was like, I'm not comfortable doing that. We're not going to do that. Sleep training is not an option for us. And there were times in that 7 to 16 where I felt like I'm going to have to sleep train. I'm going to have to do it. I can't do this anymore. And I was like looking stuff up, and I just felt such a like conviction in my spirit. Like, you do not need to do this. So I say all this with understanding that everyone's doing what's best for them. And if you sleep train and you feel like that was what's best for your family, I trust that you feel like you made the best decision. And I just say all this for those moms who are told to sleep train but don't feel like that is right, that there's other options out there. And you should look up Hey Sleepy Baby on Instagram, and they have so much help for you. And you will sleep again. You will sleep again. Finally, breaking my silence on sleep training. I've had these opinions for a long time, and I'm like, I just want everybody to like me, but I gotta have some hard opinions, Anyways, you will sleep again, and it will be okay. Next one. If you are feeling any kind of rage, that is not normal. If you're feeling any kind of depression, that is not normal. If you're feeling immense anxiety to where you can't function, or you can't leave your house, or you can't go to sleep without checking the monitor a million times, that is not normal. Medication is your friend. Therapy is your friend. And I know it can be overwhelming. Where do I even start? Just go talk to your gyno. They can prescribe things for you. They can help you. If you don't, a therapist, you can find a therapist on Psychology Today, and there's a million therapists out there. You can use BetterHelp. Those things are not normal. And if you're like me, you just thought oh, my hormones will adjust and it's just going to take some time for my hormones to get regulated. There's no yes, get tested. I got tested and everything was fine. I needed some extra help during that time. Medication is your friend. It does not mean that you are a terrible mother if you're experiencing postpartum anxiety or depression. It does not mean that you don't love your child or don't love being a mom. It usually just feels like there's just cloud over you that you can't get past. It just feels like there's this film over your life that you can't quite feel the way that you should feel or get to this certain point of enjoying motherhood. It doesn't mean that you are a terrible mom and that you're any less than a mom. If anything, you're doing what is best for you and what is absolutely best for your child if you are getting some help, because you deserve to get help for yourself, but also your child deserves to have a healthy parent. And so medication is your friend. You can ask your gynecologist for some. Therapy is a great place to go just to talk about what you're going through as a new mom. It is imperative that you receive that help if you are feeling that way. It is common, but it is not normal. And also, if you're not feeling that way, that's totally fine. I remember I saw I was so concerned and worried that I was going to experience that because everybody in my life was experiencing that. And then when I didn't experience it for the first few months, I was like, oh, I hope this means that I care about my kid enough. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. But also on that note, intrusive thoughts can ruin your life. They really can. When you're driving down the road and you're like, what if this car hit us? Or if you're sitting in a restaurant and you're like, okay, if a gunman came in, how would I unbuckle my kid and get under the table? Or how would I do that? And I'm going to think through every single possible thing. Those intrusive thoughts can ruin your life. I'm telling you, I lived in those intrusive thoughts constantly, and going on Zoloft helped more than I can say with those intrusive thoughts. And since being off Zoloft, some of them have come back, and I've really had to work on going from okay, this is the lie and this is the truth. The lie is that someone's going to come into Chick-fil-A right now. The truth is I'm sitting here in this moment with my baby and I am safe. So I've really had to go from one path to the other path, and they can ruin your life, and you do not have to sit in that forever. You do not have to sit in that forever. It's not good for you. It's not good for your baby. It's not good for your family. It's not good for your marriage. You do not need to sit in that forever. Intrusive thoughts can truly ruin your life, and I don't want them to. So please, please, please get help. Medication is great for silencing those thoughts. All right, I have two more. Your relationship with your pet may change or it may not. And this is something that I felt so much guilt over And this was before my dog broke my leg. I loved our dog more than anything in this world. He was my life. Like, he would go everywhere with us that he could go. Like, he was everything. Like, he was my baby. He slept in the bed with us between me and Thomas. Like, our dog was our life. And I was like, it'll never change. It'll never change. It changed. It changed fast. I don't love him. I can literally cry talking about it. I don't love him any less, but it was the pinnacle of my rage. Him barking would send me into another world. And that really like sent me over the edge. I literally went to therapy over my experience with my dog. I did. I was feeling so guilty. I was considering having to get rid of him. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't get rid of my dog. But we struggled so much. And your relationship with your pet may not change, and you may still love them equally, and that is great. And I hope that is the case for you. But if that is not the case for you, just know you're not alone. I had to send our dog to stay with my parents for a little bit because I was not okay. He went and stayed with them for, I think it was like a couple weeks maybe before I broke my leg. I had to have him away. And during that time, I really missed him and wanted him to come back. So that was a really good separation for us. But I had to ask for help. Again, asking for help is so important. I had to ask for help. I couldn't do that any longer. I couldn't sit and just feel this rage to him any longer. It wasn't good for us. It wasn't good for our family. It wasn't good for Tate to watch me yell at our dog. Like, that's just not what I wanted. And so if your relationship with your pet changes, you are not alone. I love you. What we had to do for our family was send him to my parents' house for a month. And that just really helped like me fall in love with him again in a different way and not be so angry towards him. So that is my encouragement to you. And sending him to doggy daycare during the day. That is what we had to do. We had to make room in the budget to send him to doggy daycare. And that was truly the best thing that we could do for our family. Last one. Your relationship with your partner might be tough at times. The first year, I feel like, after having Tate was really hard. And that was just because we were learning how to be parents together. And that was really hard. But it will not be that way forever. The sleep deprivation makes everything so much worse. But I also fell more in love with Thomas than I ever had in my life. I felt like we were true partners in parenthood. Like, I felt like, because we were. Like, it's not all on me. It's not all on him. Like, we are partners in this. But I just want to say, if your relationship is tough, it will get better. It will not be this way forever. Things get easier. I mean, so much of your life changes when you become a parent. So it's okay if it's tough for a bit. There were a lot of times where I let the rage get in the way, or I would get mad if Thomas was sleeping, and I just had to figure that out. And also there's a level of when you're the mom, it's you innately know these things about what your baby needs, and seeing somebody else try to do it, but maybe not fast enough, can be really difficult. So it may be tough for a while. It will not be that way forever. You will get a groove back. Thomas and I definitely had some really hard times in our first year of first year of being parents, with our relationship, but it now is in the best place. We are probably in the best place we've ever been in our marriage, and it is incredible. It's so fun. Last night we were literally laying in bed laughing so hard. I was crying, tears were falling out of my eyes, because I just played some stupid prank on him, and it was so fun, and it's in the best place that it could ever be. And I'm more in love with him than I ever have been in my entire life. And it just took going through some really hard times the first year of Tate's life, but hey, we're good. And it's honestly, you're what could be hard? It's just I've never felt like he moved fast enough. When looking back in reality, he did move. I just when you're the mom and you grew the child in your belly, you just have this innateness that you know what they need, and you know what speed they need it, and you know when they need it. And I'm not saying that dads don't have that instinct by any means. It's just different when you carry the child in your body, And so I'm oh, he was sleeping, and I would get really mad at him sleeping. That's really what our biggest fights were about. But he deserves sleep as well. But I think it was I'm not sleeping, so I feel like he shouldn't be sleeping. So we just would fight about that. We fought about sleeping. We fought about, I never felt like he would move fast enough. But Thomas is literally the best, and he was moving fast enough. I was just I was sleep deprived, and that's where a lot of our fights were about. Honestly, looking back, it was things that didn't matter. And obviously there was real things, and I would talk about it, and I would say things to him that he would be hurt by. And so I'd apologize. We moved forward. But we just kind of had this rule that like anything that we said in the middle of the night really doesn't matter. Like a lot of times it didn't need to be addressed because we were both just tired and we'd forget about it the next day, which is why you can go to bed mad and it's fine. You know, you can go to bed mad. Okay, my last piece of advice is this really helped me with my postpartum anxiety. Every night I would pray, Lord, if my baby needs something, wake me up from my sleep. And just praying that before I went to bed changed everything for me. And so many times I would wake up and Tate would not be crying. And then 2 seconds later, he would cry and need me. And I really believe that was the Lord waking up when my baby needed me. And I had such a hard time falling asleep at night because I was just like, had a bunch of anxiety. And once I started praying that prayer, I just had a sense of peace over my body. Lord, wake me up if my baby needs me. And he would wake me up if my baby needed him. Or if my baby needed him. If my baby needed me, the Lord would wake me up. And so I want to encourage you to pray that before you go to bed. And that really helped give me just a sense of peace. I've had to trust the Lord more since having a baby than ever before, truly. And it has been really good for us. Okay. I was going to read some advice from other people. I'm just going to skim these really fast. This is what you guys said. Don't let other people's advice overwhelm you. Do what's best for you and your baby. Facts. You are doing better than you think you are. You know them best. So true. Do 5 minutes of something just for you daily. Don't let yourself lose yourself. It is really, that's a hard one. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. Makes you a better mom, not a worse one. 100%. Postpartum depression is so real and it is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be ashamed of it, truly. This is a good one. Have someone who holds you accountable to telling the truth about how you feel after birth. That's so good. So good. Everything will make sense again, and baby mittens are a scam. They totally are. You don't need the mittens. Like, cut their nails or bite their nails if their nails are sharp. Babies aren't robots. Lean into your God-given intuition and learn what your baby needs. Facts. Remember, the hard times don't last. Neither do the great ones. Choose your focus. Perspective really affects the level of difficulty you face. It's true. Trust your gut and don't worry about strict schedules. Babies are not robots. Yes. Get off of social media. Remember my rant about that 20 minutes ago? Whatever you got to do, find mom friends. That's so true. Facebook groups are a great place to find mom friends. There is no shame in getting on medication that will help you be a better you in this season. 100%. We'll end with this one. Whatever you're going through, it will pass, but it's okay to find it tough. It does not make you a worse mom. You are the best mom to your baby. And how incredible is it that the Lord picked you to be your baby's mom? Like, there's so many times this episode is about to just like sob my eyes out. Like, I love being a mom. I hope this is helpful. Moms, you are not alone. I cannot say that enough. You are not alone. You're the best mom. There's a million other things that I could give advice on, but we are an hour in, so like I need to chill. And again, I don't know everything. But I love you guys so much. Sign up for the newsletter. Please, please, please sign up for the newsletter. And I will link it in the episode notes. And I will also link my YouTube. And make sure to follow at Say.What Podcast on Instagram. We are having a lot of fun over there. People are being very mean to me on Instagram. But you know what? It's fine. I don't care. My identity is in the Lord and not in what people say about me on the internet. Love you guys. We'll talk soon.